Yeah, actually, I'm just connecting live, preparing to live streaming. It's happening, Prabhuji. We are going live now.
No, I'm saying the audience is not on Zoom now. Only we two are there on Zoom.
No, I have seen.
No, I'm saying the audience is not on Zoom now. Only we two are there on Zoom.
Okay, one. No, I have seen.
No, I'm saying the audience is not on Zoom now. Only we two are there on Zoom.
Okay, one. No, I have seen.
No, I'm saying the audience is not on Zoom now. Only we two are there on Zoom.
Okay, one.
Frozen. Put on the log out.
There seems to be some problem with the broadcast. I'm getting echo here.
There were a lot of people.
There seems
Now is it okay, Prabhuji? There were.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Now is it okay?
Yeah, it's better now. There was some issue.
Now is it okay, Prabhuji?
It's getting repeated. Something is happening technically. It gets repeated.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Now is it okay?
Yeah, it's better now. There was some issue. It's getting repeated. Something is happening technically. It gets repeated. Yeah, it's better now. There was some issue. There's a problem, Prabhu.
Shall I reconnect, Prabhuji? But I don't know whether if I reconnect.
You make me as host and then you log off and reconnect because it's not going good.
I will.
Problem,
Shall I reconnect, Prabhuji? But I don't know whether if I reconnect.
You make. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-shalaka Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namah Namaste Saraswate Devi Gaurvani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatu Deshatari Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahotra Gaudadaya Pushpavanto Chitra Sandotamo Nityananda Nami Karvananda Karam Harinam Param Devam Bhavatu Shiromani Nirachal Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatma Parvatra Subhadradhyam Jagannathaya Te Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namo Bhakta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Mancha Kalpataruvesha Kripa Sindhu Devi Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Ram.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So,
Yes, Prabhu.
welcome all for this session of Srimad Bhagavatam Live. And let's understand about the chapter 10 of Canto 1. So, we had 1 week break, and HG Mother Sundaras Prabhuji has given this break with the intention that whatever is the backlog in our reading, based on the time availability, we had to cover it up. So we all hope that all the backlogs had been covered. So let's welcome HG Revatipati Das Prabhuji, and to enlighten us with his knowledge, divine knowledge on Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Very happy to be back with all of you after quite a few weeks, and seeing so many of you, especially Gaurangi Priya Mataji, seek her blessings. And Hare Krishna Mataji. So happy to see you and seek your blessings so that I can do some service.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
She is our mother. She keeps us physically fit, mentally healthy, intellectually sound, and especially vibrant. So they are very great assets to our Pune community. And
No,
they
Prabhuji.
opened their home, their hospital, their heart, everything what they have in the service of all the devotees. So very fortunate.
No, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
for blessing us today morning. So we will be discussing on chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 today. It's a very special chapter. Srimad Bhagavatam does not just talk about the philosophy of life. It also talks about the culture of life. And chapter, as we are going to discuss today, just gives such a beautiful perspective of what the true culture of life is. How people should ideally live, how people should ideally relate with each other, and what are the etiquettes of receiving the guest, and when the guests depart, how we should deal with them. So it's a very beautiful chapter. The chapter is entitled as Lord Krishna departs from Hastinapur. So just as a background, we have seen how after Kurukshetra war, Kurukshetra war, then Ashwatthama kills the 5 sons of Draupadi, and then Arjuna catches him, and then he takes off the jewel off his head, and then he leaves him. And again, Ashwatthama goes, and now Krishna is ready to leave at that time. But then Maharaj Yudhishthira requests him to stay back. At the same time, this Ashwatthama again shoots Brahmastras to kill the 5 Pandavas and the child in the womb. So Krishna protects all of them, and then later on, Yudhishthira Maharaj becomes depressed, and then Krishna takes him to meet grandfather Bhishma. So Bhishma Deva Pandavas goes to Bhishma Deva, and then Bhishma Deva prays to Krishna. Last chapter we discussed that. And after that, they come back, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj starts ruling the kingdom. And then Krishna starts again for Dwarka from Hastinapur, and Mother Kunti, she offers her prayers, beautiful prayers. In 8th chapter we learned that. And then after, Krishna start to leave, and then Maharaj Yudhishthira requests him, and Krishna extends his stay for some more time. So this happens quite a couple of times. And finally in this chapter we find that after several months of Kurukshetra war being over, then Mother Kunti offering prayer, then Bhishma Dev, he departs, and then now Krishna is finally ready to leave, and in this chapter he actually departs. So this chapter describes of what are the feelings, emotions, and what is there in the minds of the devotees when Krishna is departing from us. Very, very beautiful chapter. We will see the PPT as made by Sadesham Prabhu, and then discuss a few points from that. So let's start. Prabhu, can you enable me the screen share? Right.
One second, Prabhu.
Yeah. I'm still disabled. You make me co-host otherwise.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's Bankim from Manipur, Prabhu.
Oh, Banke Prabhu, so great. So wonderful to see you all the way from Manipur. After many, many, many years, it's a big surprise.
This is the darshan of Gaur Arti.
Wow, that's great.
And this is Radha Krishna in ISKCON Manipur. Radha Krishna Sandra.
Wow, that's great. Radha Govind Dev, right?
No, Radha Krishna Sandra, Prabhuji.
Radha Krishna Chandra. Oh, that's great.
Lalita Vishaka. And this is Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath Prabhu.
This is the temple.
Fantastic. I have seen the photos earlier and devotee sent me the photograph. And it's so nice, so wonderful to see. So nice to see you are settled there. Maybe we'll talk after the session a little more.
Yes, bro.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I have made you co-host, Prabhuji. So you have the rights for sharing the screen, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Gulshan Prabhu will talk after the session. I'm very happy to meet many of the old friends here. So after the session, we'll talk. So, Hare Krishna. These are the contents of our today's chapter's discussion. The first 6 verses, they describe about the kingdom of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And then in the text 7 to 19, Krishna gets ready to depart, how he boards the chariot and how the devotees are there with him, that is being described. And after that, in text number 20 to 30, the ladies of Hastinapur, they get on the roof of the palace and they are showering flowers and offering prayers. So that is being described. And finally, in the last 6 verses, how Krishna departs for Dwarka, which all places he passed through, that is being described. So let us start with this. Yeah. So these are the Pandavas, seeing Krishna when he's about to depart. What is happening? Yeah. So in text number 1 to 6, Maharaj Yudhishthira's rule is being described. And this chapter begins by Shaunak Muni asking to Sutta Goswami that after killing his enemies, and this is asking about Yudhishthira Maharaj, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaj Yudhishthira, because Maharaj Yudhishthira Dharma personified, how did he rule his subjects? And definitely because such a big kingdom, so many enemies were there, there must have been some challenges in that. So he's asking this question. And this question is being asked by just one. So Shaunak Muni is asking this question because in the last chapter, after we heard about Bhishma Dev instructing Maharaj Yudhishthira came back and then he took over the rule of the kingdom. So now he's asking that how did he rule? And then Sutta Goswami started replying about the, greatness of Maharaj Yudhishthira's rule. So he says that Lord Krishna, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased with re-establishing Maharaj Yudhishthira as the king. And then after Maharaj Yudhishthira being enlightened by Bhishma Dev, and then Krishna engaged himself in matters of all perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. So Yudhishthira Maharaj again started ruling the kingdom. And he ruled not only the earth, but also the seas in the previous time. Now also if you go to like Indian Ocean, so there's a sea limits also. We were in Dwarka some time back and there is a sea limit. So after a certain area, you can see the green flag. Pakistan's boundary starts on the sea also. So like that, he was ruling over the earth and the sea. And then how the kingdom was so prosperous is being described. There was sufficient rain. These days, rains are so much of a problem. Sometimes there's a drought. And earth produced in profusion. And the milk from the fatty cowbacks, the cows are producing so much milk that without even being milked, the milk will be dripping from their milk bags. That much milk the cows produced. And thus the earth was moistened not with the water, but actually with the milk. There was a kitchen of milk. And the others, the rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, they all paid tax to the king and they all gave their best. For example, the oceans, they produce pearls, So the oceans produce pearls and the Maharaj Yudhishthira could obtain them. The mountains, they produce minerals, so he could obtain minerals. The forest, there are many valuable trees like the chandan tree and other herbs which are useful for medicine, so they produce everything. And then the sixth text that described about, because the king has no enemy, the living beings were not at all disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, excessive heat or cold. So such is the power of a virtuous, a righteous king, that if a king is a great devotee of the Lord, and he is pleasing the Lord by his service, then all such wonderful effects can be seen. So Maharaj Yudhishthira's rule was almost as good as Ramarajya. Ramarajya was there in Treta Yuga, and this is toward the end of Dwapar Yuga. But Maharaj Yudhishthira ruled in the same way as Lord Ramchandra and took care of his citizens and all the other aspects of kingdom in such a wonderful way. That's an ideal king. So that is being described, and after that, the how he starts preparing to leave for Dwarka, that is being described. So this is the second theme. 7 to 9, these verses they describe how Krishna gets ready to depart from Dwarka. So first the family members, they come to see of Krishna. Krishna took permission of Yudhishthira Maharaj and he boarded the chariot. So Krishna bows down to Yudhishthira Maharaj, considering him as a senior, but Yudhishthira Maharaj embraced him. And he embraces Bhima and Arjuna, and Nakul and Sahadev, they offer obeisance to Krishna. So this is proper etiquette of respecting the people at different levels, different relations. And then 9 to 14 describe the intensity of Lord's attractive influence, that the devotees thinking of separation from the Lord, they nearly fainted. And seeing the beauty of the Lord, their hearts were melting on the pot of attraction. They looked at the Lord without blinking their eyes. And tears were flowing from their eyes, which the ladies controlled because they understood that shedding tears may be inauspicious. So with great difficulty, they controlled the tears. And then the instrument was sounded to honor the Lord. And the ladies, they got on the roof, they showered flowers. And as Krishna started walking, then Arjuna took an umbrella which had a handle which was made of gold and pearls. Uddhava and Satyaki, they were fanning him with chamaras, and then the benedictions were being offered to the Lord by the Brahmana. And then, so then the ladies offer prayers, which we will see further. But now we will go into detail in this section because it's a very culturally very rich section. A lot of things to learn for practical understanding and application. So text 7 says that after the Kurukshetra wars were over, Krishna stayed Hastinapur for a few more months to pacify relatives and please his own sister Subhadra. So the Vedic culture is so personal. It is fully centered around the Supreme Lord. If you see the Vedic festivals, the festivals were like Holi, Diwali, the homes were painted on Diwali, and new dresses were bought on Holi, Diwali, Dashera, Gudi Padwa, Kshatriya. Birthdays were also there, anniversaries were also there, but they were not as highlighted as these grand festivals. But they were all centered around the Lord, and they unify the family members, the community members more strongly than even somebody's individual birthday. Even the birthdays were there, marriages were there, celebrated with great form. But these functions, these celebrations which are related to the Lord, they were the occasions on which people will, really come back from their places of work and be together with the family member, with the community members, society members. So it was very personal, and because it was relating to the Lord as a person, so they could relate to each other also as a person. When we understand Lord as impersonal, then we cannot have personal relationship with anyone. So this is the flaw in the modern times. People think God is impersonal, and then they want to have personal relationship with so many other people, which will never become possible, because the personal relationship begins by understanding Lord as a person and having a relation with him. And then in that connection, we can have relations with other persons, and they can be personal. So here we find Krishna reciprocate with the feelings of his devotees, and that is the expertise of the Lord. Expertise of the Lord is not just in killing demons and making the creation happen. These all things happen by his expansions. Mahavishnu creates entire material world and all. And, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu enters as Paramatma. The expertise of the Lord is that he's expert in dealing with the feelings of his devotees. He knows how to best reciprocate with his devotees. That is his expertise. So here we find that although Subhadra was there, Pandavas were there, but Krishna personally stayed back so that he can pacify them and spend time with them. Because time is the best gift we can give to people, and without spending time, no relationship can ever develop. So modern time, that is another issue. People do not want to spend time, quality time with people, but they want to have an intimate relationship. So this is not possible unless people spend time with each other, especially time doing devotion service together. Then the real relationships develop. So in the God-centered civilization, all the actions are based on a mode of service with full consideration of others' feelings. One is very sensitive to others' feelings. One is not dashing about what one wants. One is saying what are the needs of other people, and then one is willing to extend and willing to make sacrifices for taking care of those feelings. So Vedic culture is a culture of sacrifice for pleasing others. And modern culture is a selfie culture and a selfish culture. Earlier, I remember, even in our childhood, we all wanted to click the photograph, not be in the photograph. Somehow there was so much shyness. There will be a kind of, competition that who will click the photo. And I said, no, I don't want to be in the photo. I'll click the photo. You will be there. There was so much competition. They will be snatching camera from each other. But nowadays, everyone is so much prompt that people sometimes risk their life to click the selfies. And sometimes I go to Sasford and I see at the Ghat, people are there standing on the thin wall and, having that extended arm to click a selfie, and sometimes accidents happen. So this culture has changed so much. Rather from being a culture of sacrifice and serving others, the culture is tending towards, being selfish and trying to look for how I can be happy, how I can be pleased. But that does not satisfy, because that is not our real nature. Our real nature is to serve. So Vedic culture is based in that format. And here you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talking with his devotees, and the mothers are there with the children. The relationship and welfare of others is of more prominence than the economical or material advancement. Money is not all in all. In modern times, this thought that money is all in all has given rise to great disturbance in the social order. So that's a big misnomer. Happiness in life comes from healthy relationships, not just from earning money. There are many, many people who have lots of money. Srila Prabhupada used to give example, in the West, people have so much money, but because they don't have relationships, then they are so frustrated. And sometimes they take cats and dogs and they make a relationship with them. And after death, they leave all the property to cats and dogs. There are cases like that. They write a will in the name of cat and dog. so relationships are a must. Life means relationships. If there are no relationship, a person will commit suicide. There's no meaning to life without relationship. So, but when relationships are not prioritized on the basis of selfless service and care for others, then one cannot experience true joy in life. So this is the paradigm of Vedic culture and modern culture. And there is no neglect of any group for satisfying another. Everyone is given their part. For example, a householder is not only supposed to take care of his family, but because householder is the only earning member in the Vedic society, brahmacharis, vanprastha, sannyasis, they don't earn. So householder not only takes care of his family, but also takes care of the other three orders of society. Brahmacharis will earn, brahmacharis will come and ask for some bhiksha. Then the house lady, she will give some bhiksha, some roti or some atta or whatever. And then the brahmachari ashram will run like that. And the sannyasis will come, they will get some charity, they will enlighten the gospel like that. And not only these three orders, even the animals, they will maintain the cows. Every house practically has a cow in the Vedic system. Cow is so very vital for the life itself, because the milk and the butter and the ghee and farming, everything. Cow is kamadhenu. So everything cow gives is so useful, and cow is considered one of the 7 mothers. So cows were taken care, and even the dogs were taken care. It was not the dogs were neglected, but they were outside the house. Cow was inside the house. Now it's reverse. Cow is roaming on the street and dogs are inside the house. So every member of the society, we hear that Srila Prabhupada's father he has a cloth shop. So in that cloth shop, he will keep a bowl of rice so that the rats can come and eat the rice and they should not, spoil the cloth. So he understood that it is not possible to kill the rats or remove all the rats, and they have a right to live. This is a symbiotic system. Everyone has a right to live. So they live and their needs are provided by the God. And if we artificially try to restrain it, then we get a lot of simple stuff. So there's no conflict in the interest because everything is there for the pleasure of the Lord. And when sense gratification becomes the main objective, with no higher purpose, then the industrial culture takes. Rapid mechanization happened. We want to use everything faster and quicker, and no time is left for loving exchanges. So this, if we read history, the Renaissance, the industrial revolution, this happened in the Europe, because that time they started making factories for producing goods rather than goods being produced at a local level by the people through hand. They started getting machines, started making assembly lines, started making big factories, and then the whole culture changed. And Indian culture was never machine oriented and never factory or industry oriented. You'll find that till the time Britishers invaded India and they brought the textile machines and all of the things, till then Indian culture was totally personal. Everything was done with hand, and that is why there was so much artistry. And even today, if you see the temples which are made in South India or even like Radha Govind Dev, even with machines we can't make such temples even today. Without machines, so much has been done by the hand. And such artifacts, such kind of designs and dresses and clothing. Even now, when you go to Banaras or somewhere, you see the sarees. They call it Banarasi saree or Kanchipuram sarees. So much hand was done with the silk sarees with the hand. So it was a culture of personalism. It will be done by the people, not with the machines. When the machines came in, then the culture became also mechanical, machine oriented, and people want to do faster things. And although the machines can do things faster than man, the surprising thing is that even with the fast machines, people are fully busy. Still, they are not left with any time for loving exchanges with others. So competition, exploitation, they become the norm, right? They become like the purpose of life changes. The education ideally is for forming the character. Education, word comes from educare, that is to bring out from within. What is within to bring it out. And Chanakya Pandit says that what is education? He says that Matravat Paradareshu, to consider other women as mother, and Paradraveshu Lostavat, Lostavat Paradraveshu, to consider others' money as good as a stool for no good use. Nobody goes after the stool, nobody picks up the stool and keeps in one pocket. So Lostavat Paradraveshu, others' money, Lostavat, we are not interested. So there's no question of cheating and taking bribes, this and that. Lostavat Paradraveshu. Atmavat per bhuteshu, and to see all other people as good as oneself. If I do, if I am hungry, I feel pain. Then when others are hungry, they also feel. If somebody beats me, I feel hurt, and when I beat someone, they also feel hurt. So atmavat par bhuteshu, one who knows these three things and can experience these three things, that is called pandit. That is a real pandita. That is real education. Supposed to teach us these three things. But now, if you see, the education has become a key to good career, and I have to prove myself and I have to earn money. So these are all deviations from the original purpose of education. And anyway, so now we come back. So Krishna stays back to pacify sister. So this is another aspect of Vedic culture, that the older brother in the family feels great responsibility for other siblings, and the younger sister is considered as one's daughter. So these relationships are very deep, and we can find so many times, brothers and sisters, they have taken responsibility for their younger brothers and sisters' education. Sometimes they sacrifice their own education for the sake of others. In our family also, my father's elder brother, my elder uncle, he did not study. He studied till 10th only, and he went out to work and he gave money so that my father could study. Father did my BA, LLB and everything. So we could see this spirit of sacrifice for the sake of younger brothers. And sometimes the father, if he will depart before time, then the elder brother will take responsibility of getting all the sisters married. So it was quite intimate, quite intense. The responsibility was very high, the affection was very high. But in modern culture, because of the destruction of God-centeredness in the culture, you'll be surprised to know that the major exploitation of children and women happened by the family members. So when God is put out of the picture, then nothing good remains. That has to be understood. Nowadays, people aim is, let us be good, let us do good, be good, have good without God. That is not possible. Without understanding God and without being God conscious, there can be nothing good in life. So rather than taking responsibility for children and younger brothers and sisters, the culture has become so exploitative. This is world statistics. The major number of exploitations for women and children, they happen by the family members. So this is Krishna's example, how he stayed back to pacify Subhadra because he lost Abhimanyu, and he's pacifying her. Modern societies often lack such deep feelings because family members or within communities, because of, they're being selfish, they're being egoistic. So when individuals are only interested in gratifying the senses, everything becomes machine-like. So actually, sacrifice makes the relationship stronger. Unless you sacrifice in the relationship, then the relationship cannot be strong. Now, if we as a family, we just go together all the time when we feel hungry and then eat in hotel or order from Zomato or Zomato or whatever else is there, Swiggy, and we eat it. So we can eat it, but that doesn't lead to a thick relationship because sacrifice is not important. So to cook at home, it is a matter of great sacrifice. It takes a lot of effort. Srila Prabhupada gives the example that just like the housewife, she cooks in spite of hot season or cold season. She's duty bound. So that example he gives in Bhagavat. So similarly, when cooking is done, it's an act of great relationship because people feel touched and they make the item and the other people appreciate, oh, you have cooked it so well, and then people understand that so much sacrifice has gone behind that to make it, to get the sabji, to cut it, to make it, and some things take time. Like for example, idli, one has to make, then one has to start preparation previous night. One has to soak it, one has to grind it, and then one has to make it, one has to offer it, serve it. So, cooking meals, cleaning home, making homemade items like pickles and papad and sivai and all these things, they have been a part of Indian culture and tradition, and they have been binding the family because things are so pure, so much money is being saved, and so much investment is there. You eat a papad, you can remember this papad my mother made. And as children, we also used to, help our mothers making this sivai, papad and all in the month of May because the heat just starts, so everything gets dried up. And there are so many home chores, so many home engagements are there that money is saved and nobody needs to go out to work. The husband only goes out to work, and then the wife saves a lot of money actually. Sometimes there's more money in the savings of the wife than in the pocket of the husband because they do so much saving, they save so much money. And now in the modern culture, like, whatever, we can't change it, it's just a matter of discussion that if both husband and wife work because they have to work, the cost of living is so high in the cities. And sometimes there are EMIs for the house or the car, they have to be paid back. But the issue is that household chores still have to be done. Somebody has to do it. So then there are other maid servants who are hired. But then the quality of relationship does not differ. The work gets done, the salary comes, salary is taken, salary is given. We take from our master, we get more, we may get 2 lakhs, and for homemaids and all, we may pay just 20,000. So yes, money is earned, but that relationship part doesn't develop because for relationship to engage in service is an absolute necessity. There's no escape for that. There's no replacement for that. So this is being discussed here. And afterward, when the Lord asked permission to depart, then Maharaj Yudhishthira going down, Lord offered his respect to Maharaj Yudhishthira, the king embraced him. And then the Lord being embraced by others, received their blessings, got into a chariot. So these customs and rituals were so designed so as to touch the heart, to create an atmosphere saturated with heartfelt action. And this is very true. Even, most of your parents, when the child comes and goes down and touches the feet, there's very, very naturally, there's an outpour of very, loving feelings and blessings in the heart. And even an enemy goes down, a person feels kind to him, what to say of, a loving child or something. So these customs and all, they are all designed in a way so that invoke the feeling. Vedic culture is centered around, a loving feeling because they are the essence of life. Not just about earning money, getting technology, developing gadgets. These are all very secondary. So here we find, how Krishna is receiving Sudama in such a loving way. Although his friend, he did not say, okay, we are friends, no formality. What is this formality? What are the rituals for? Just, let's just, kind of eat together. No. Krishna took note that he's a Brahmana, although he's a loving friend, but still he followed all the rituals. Actually, rituals are not obstacles to deeper relationships. Rituals, when followed with proper meaning and with proper sensitivity, they actually make the relationships very deep. And in our Vaishnava tradition also, you have seen that, when you come to temple, we offer obeisances and we see devotees offer obeisances. And people oftentimes get shocked and surprised. What is this? They're walking and all of a sudden both fall down, because this is the highest grade of offering respect, right? One can touch the feet, but one shakal taru vesha, the Vaishnava pranam, is a very important part of our Vaishnava life, because by offering obeisances, we invoke the loving feeling in the heart of the other person. And we offer obeisances to sannyasis, the spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada disciples. And just by offering obeisances, so much affection we receive, so much blessings we receive. So this paying of obeisances, embracing each other, respecting each other, these are very vital things for, a relationship in the Vedic culture. Now, today's society, what can we say? People feel unfulfilled and they seek lesser engagement because they don't feel that connectivity. They don't feel that love and warmth from others. So then they go for all other so-called exciting engagement of, smoking, drinking, gambling. I was hearing one lecture from a spiritual master. He was saying the Las Vegas, which is the, it's like the entire city, gambling is the main business. There are so many gambling houses. And he says that so many Indians come, and the Indian ladies come in all costly sarees and all, but they all come for the purpose of gambling. So when the roots of the culture, are not there, the connection with the Supreme Lord, the mood of service, the mood of sacrifice, then even though people may externally look like, wearing some traditional dress, this and that, but then the culture is completely spoiled. He was mentioning that so many ladies coming in sarees and playing in the gambling houses. So this happens because the satisfaction of relationships is not there. When one is satisfied in relationship, one does not look, anywhere else to feel satisfied and happy. This tension, strife, mental disturbances, they are all, dissipated by the fabric of loving relationships. See? In the Western world, there are, this kind of, they also call them counselors, Center for Problem Solving Therapy. So there are people who get paid for hearing the problems of others and try to suggest some solution. One of the highest paid professions, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, mentors, right? Because people just don't find anyone. No one is interested in hearing them. On the other hand, in a joint family, you see the photograph. There are so many. The whole family of so many generations and so many. They have Papa and Bada Papa and Chota Papa and Chacha and Tau and Bua and Mosi. Yesterday I was meeting on family, so I asked that lady, how many brothers and sisters? She said, many. I said, how many? And this is 7 sisters, only 1 brother. 8 of them. They're all there. So you can imagine what size the family will be in a how many people will be there. That is mother side, and father side further, brothers and sisters. So many buas, so many mosis, so many mamas, so many chacha. So, and we have so many connections, so many, nephews and nieces. So one feels very satisfied and happy. But when one does not have that kind of warmth and that kind of shelter, then one often tends to go into depression and to all those. So further at that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, they all came and they all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from the Lord. So he says that, just to show the intensity of their separation, Sonak Rishi says that people, even if those who have understood the Lord in association pure devotees and they have become freed from bad materialistic association, can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. So somebody hears the Lord's glories only once, So they feel so attracted and they give up everything else for the sake of hearing. Then what to say of Pandavas, who not only heard of Krishna, but they were directly with Krishna, So they were hearing from Krishna, they were discussing with Krishna, they were eating with Krishna, they were sleeping with Krishna, they were joking with Krishna. So So somebody hears about Krishna, he becomes so addicted that he cannot give up hearing about Krishna, even by hearing once. Then what to say of the people who not only heard about Krishna, but have been with Krishna, right? So just like, we take darshan of the deities. So we take darshan of the deities from outside that whatever the barricades are there. And from there we can appreciate so much, the deities' beauty and their beautiful dressing, the garlands, and also what to say of pujaris, whom are touching the deities and kind of dressing the deities and spending so much time with the deities, touching them, offering bhoga to them. So their attachment is, so much. So similarly, he says that what to say, those who hear about Lord, they become fully attached. And what to say of those Pandavas who have been with the Lord all the time? What can be said of their separation? And that is why how could they tolerate the separation? Because they have been so intimately associated with him. And they nearly fainted actually. So this is another thing, that by hearing topics about Krishna from the right sources, that pacifies the mind of all the incongruities and help and transcend all the problems. So that is why the Vedic culture, hearing about the Lord was very prominent. Every village there will be some Ramayana Katha, some Padma Purana Katha, some Narasimha Katha, as per festival. And in the local, local village temple, people will come together in the evening and do kirtan. And they will sing Hare Krishna Mahamantra and sing some local song. In Vrindavan also you go, Barsana, Nandagan, they have their local Braja song. And they will glorify, Radharani, they will glorify Krishna's pastime. So the entire Vedic culture, the foundation was that God is in the center and they connect to God by hearing, chanting and glorifying. So, and that will just keep them away from all the unnecessary negative vibrations, needless propaganda of disturbing news. Everything was avoided. On the other hand, now people are not interested in hearing about Gita, Ramayana and all. And what happens? Then they read newspapers. And newspapers are just, bringing in all the disturbance from all over the world in one place and bombarding it to us on our head. And there are online news and this and that. But actually, if we analyze, hardly, not even 0.1% of the news on a daily basis makes any difference in our life. And life goes on. I can confidently say I have not touched newspaper for last 20 years practically. Before that, I used to read 3 newspapers a day. Because local newspaper, the Hindu and the Telegraph, I was in Bengal, and there was one more, the Statesman or something. And life is going on. Whatever we need to know, that somehow or other, by discussion with devotees or those who read newspaper, we come to know. But we really need to think, because time goes. Time gets wasted in reading mundane things. So if we need it for our service or something, we may read it. We may read the headlines, or somebody can give us the basic, news in a short. But then, even if you know that what is the count of the corona in the, Zimbabwe situated in Africa, then what do you do with that? Any control over that? But now with this, social media and this information technology explosion, now a person is aware of everything across the world. He can just Google everything. But then, the time which is supposed to be utilized in remembering the Lord, hearing about God, glorifying the Lord, that goes. So outside people, whatever may be there, but as devotees, you have to be ultra careful, because this is one thing where even as devotees, our time, we really get lost in just, hearing, reading, or discussing about mundane topics. Nothing matters. You have to understand this entire creation works fully under the control of the Supreme Lord. Nothing can happen without His sanction. Our duty is to come close to Him by hearing, chanting, and doing our duty. So if we need something to know for the sake of our responsibility and duty, that's all right. But it's very little time. But that should not be of our interest. Mahaprabhu, when he instructed Raghunath Das Goswami about, practicing devotional service seriously, first thing he says is, Gramya Varta na kahive, Gramya Katha na. Do not talk mundane things, do not hear mundane. The greatest obstacle, the greatest enemy on the path of spiritual progress is Prajalpa. And newspaper, news, and this and that, they're primarily Prajalpa. Hardly there's any meaningful thing. Right? So one should be very, very careful about that, otherwise it's wastes a lot of time. All their hearts were melting for Him on the pot of attraction. They looked at Him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. So they were perplexed because they love Krishna. Krishna needs to go, but they don't want Him to go. And they were in such perplexity in the mind. And they were looking at Him with unblinking eyes. Even the gopis pray. Actually, gopis curse Brahmaji. Brahmaji says, you are not a good creator. You have made these eyes. And these eyes, you are trying to take darshan of Krishna, but these eyes blink every few seconds. And that blink of the eye, which is hardly 1/12 of a second, that blink of an eye, that moment of not seeing Krishna will appear like Yugaitam Nimeshin. That will look like, millions of years for the gopis. Such was their attraction for the beauty of the Lord. So this is the standard. We can see how desperate we feel without seeing the beauty of the Lord. So we should be very keen to take darshan by coming to temple or by our own homes of our deities, or online darshan out there. So same technology which can distract us by the worldly news can connect us to Krishna by giving us darshan of the Lord in the temple on YouTube or on WhatsApp photos or whatever. So such is the attraction for him. And the female relatives, their eyes are flooded with tears out of anxiety, but they stop the tears with great difficulty because tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. So this is not a not just a beliefs. They are not superstitious beliefs. Actually, our situation, our consciousness of mind, our mental state, that can influence the things which unfold. So in the technique like Reikis and mass healing which the Christian do, they just create a positive vibration and they're all sit down, let us all pray for healing this one soul. And it actually works. So our mental state has an influence. So if our mental state is saturated with Krishna consciousness, then we can do the greatest service and greatest welfare for everyone else. So then we can think, in a very positive way about all of this. Because the thought of a Krishna conscious person is Vasudeva Kutumbakam. He understands that everyone is a part of Lord Krishna's family. And his feeling is Sarve Sukhina Bhavantu. Let everyone be happy. So such good thoughts, such well-wishing thoughts, such prayers are always, kind of oozing out from his heart. And thus, such pure devotees, such exalted devotees, even though they sit at one place, but just by their well-wishing feeling, they can do more welfare work for the entire world than the people who may be, doing some small thing going around, just by their well-wishing. So this is a very powerful effect. So we should also cultivate this habit of wishing well to others. We should not wish well to wish harm to anyone, including our enemies. My spiritual master says, if you want to make a very quick spiritual advancement, you pray for the best thing for your worst enemy. Then then you will make very fast advancement. If you pray for the best thing for your worst enemy, Krishna will be so pleased because you have really developed a mood of such kindness and compassion and free from envy and hate, and you have transcended your ego. And then you make so much advancement. So whatever, but there's the principle that actually we wish well for everyone. We become everyone's well-wisher, become everyone's friend, and we try to help them come closer to Krishna in whatever way we best can. So further, the royal ladies of the Kuru, they got up on top of palace and smiling in the affection shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. So this is the beginning of Pushabhishek, the showered flowers. We celebrate Pushabhishek in our temples also. So this, the ladies did not come on the road competing with the man, saying that we will go ahead, you go back, and kind of competing with them or kind of, being in the same place. They went on the rooftop. So the shyness and chastity, these are very great wealth of women. You see here that somebody says that it's a Mohammedan introduction for the culture, but actually it is there during Mahabharata also. It has always been there. Vedic culture has always founded on the basis of separation between man and woman, except for the necessary purposes. Because it's just natural. The man's consciousness gets totally agitated and disturbed in the presence of women. What to say in modern time when the women are not even properly dressed and all. So that's all there, and Vedic culture takes care so that the man can focus on self-realization and women can follow them, because the Vedic culture is oriented towards taking everyone towards self-realization. Modern culture is oriented towards taking everyone towards sense gratification. So self-realization or sense gratification, one has to make a choice and then accordingly follow the path, follow the culture. So instead of coming down in the open, the ladies went up, and from there they paid their respect to Lord Krishna by shower of flowers. And further it says that shyness is a gift of the nature to women. It commands respect from the opposite sex. It enhances their beauty and prestige. So Prabhupada gives an example. Prabhupada says that, in the Western culture, the women are apparently having equal rights. They dress the way they want and everything else. But it says that, we were in Vrindavan and a lady is sweeping the road. So she is not very high caste. She's a sweeper. But when, Prabhupada and his friend, they were sitting on one side. And the lady just stood there. And Prabhupada says that we felt so obliged that we got up so that she can do her duty. So we gave her respect, right? So that shyness actually attracts respect from others. So that is the main beauty. Shyness and chastity is the main beauty. It's not the beauty of the beauty parlor or makeup. The real beauty is in the character of shyness and chastity. So another principle which we hear, the butter and fire. So they are brought together when it is necessary, otherwise it causes so much chaos. And this has been the world history, whether it's Vishwamitra Muni or Julius Caesar, that if man and woman come together in inappropriate circumstances, then nothing good comes. So human civilization is conceived by the sages of India is to promote simple living and high thinking. But when the mind is preoccupied with impressing the opposite party, there's very little chance for understanding this kind of content. So shyness is great protection to check unrestricted mixing and maintain chastity in society. So it's nature's gift, and it must be, it must be utilized. So on the contrary, Vedic culture is this is a popular belief, but actually it is not such. It offers them great protection, and recently we as Women Day, so some devotee asked me what to speak on that. I said that Vedic culture gives the highest, respect to women. Generally, in modern time also they write Mrs. and Mr. and the name of the man is. But our Lord, from the culture you see Lakshmi Narayan. Mother's name comes first, Lakshmi's name comes first, and Sita Ram, Radha Krishna like this. So that come, and they are all given all respect. They are considered extensions of Lakshmi. So there are many stories of such great women in Bhagavatam, starting from Mother Kunti's prayer we just read some time back. So that. So Vedic culture is not restrictive, rather it is meant to lead one to higher freedom. So there's a lot about that which Prabhupada says, that this freedom has no meaning, because they say they're equal rights. Prabhupada says that, okay, a 16-year-old boy can go all around the world. Can a 16-year-old girl go around the world without getting exploited? So Prabhupada was very clear, and Prabhupada was very much, into news, because first time he put this concept in the Western world, which is known for women liberation and freedom concept. But Prabhupada did not, mind. Prabhupada, whosoever, whether reporter asked the question, the famous pastime, and this lady reporter asked question to Prabhupada, Swamiji, why do you have shaven head, bald head? And Prabhupada very, nonchalantly said that it's better to have warm legs and cool head rather than the opposite. So Prabhupada did not mind. Prabhupada was so, because he's a pure devotee, he's convinced, and such devotee can convince for at our level, if we talk so much about it, perhaps we might come in the news in the other way around, and might not be able to do the better service. But it is for us to understand that the culture which the Vedic culture which is being prescribed, they actually give women a higher freedom than compared to the modern freedom of just, driving autos, working in petrol pumps. This is so high of a degradation. Can one imagine, woman has become just a means of advertising anything. So this is exploitation. This is not any kind of, very great respect or honor. They just use the tools for advertising. So this has to be, understood. And then the whatever, at least as devotees, we should be keen to live as per the Vedic paradigm. The artificial attempts at equality actually leaves you in more prone to exploitation and subject to needless anxieties like this. So women's society Vedic were not equal, but rather they were in a more respectful position than men. They were in every yajna and havan, they will be participating, they will be taking care of the house, and men will work hard outside, but they will take care of the house in such a nice way. And the brahmacharis will address them mother, which is a position of greatest respect. So the Vedic education was not for acquiring degrees, but for formation of character. This verse we already saw. Matrot par dareshu, lostvat par draveshu, and atma sarvbhuteshu, yat karoti sab pandita. Such a person is considered learned. And this is natural opulence and social organization. So Lord was departing, then different drums and like Mridanga, Dhol, they were all, blown so that Lord could be given a send-off. And then Arjuna came with an umbrella, and then Satyaki and Uddhava, they were doing Chamara and fan. So these are the natural gifts: gold, jewel, pearl, valuable stones. Elephant and cows are ornamental gold. So nature provides bountiful when the Lord is pleased. But nowadays there are modern gadgets made of plastic and everything else. So rather than using gold and silver, now the culture is of plastic, rubber, like that. So this is the degradation, it's not advancement. There's no pure butter, we have margarine for that. Shelter is not there for the city population. Then they began to fan the Lord, and then, Lord walked on the scattered flowers. So, such things like Lord went out of Hastinapur, but the similar, mood is being reflected when the Lord comes out in his deity form. So in traditional temple, practically every day there is a procession of the Lord with all this culture can be seen. Some of you have gone to Udupi or Tirupati. You can see the same thing. The elephants are there. The Lord is coming on palanquin. The horns are being blown, and then trumpets are blown and drums are being beaten up. The flowers are showered. Aarti is being offered. So the Acharyas created that culture that the same kind of respect can be offered to the Lord, and that benefits the general public. So it's very beautiful actually. In fact, at times I even don't prefer to go in queue and stand for 5-6 hours in Tirupati for taking darshan. The Lord comes out actually to give darshan. The Utsav Murtis of the Lord, they come out with Sridevi, Bhudevi, and they're on the palanquin, very big Utsav Murti, almost 2.5 feet height. And they go, and then you can go very close. You can take such close darshan, and there, of course, I don't say that one should not go there, but I'm a lazy person. So one can see the Lord from close distance. One can offer prayers. One can, chant the mantras and participate in the procession. Very beautiful procession. They do it in Sahasra Deep Mandap, where lamps are lighting. They do there, then they go around. They go one round of parikrama. And similarly in Udupi also, Lord comes out every day, and he has a golden chariot, he has a diamond chariot, like that. There are 4 kinds of chariot he has. And he goes one round and then he comes back. It's a great form. So this is the mercy of great Acharya that we can see this culture even today. So this is the culture of decoration in a very natural way, putting rangolis and, so everyone can be engaged. Ladies are engaged in decorating, and children are engaged in chanting and dancing. Elderly people are engaged in reciting the mantras. They are engaged in bringing bhoga and offering to the Lord. So this is the tradition which is there. So simply by observing Lord's beauty, they feel no necessity, because so much engagement is there. We also see whenever, like, we had procession on Vaikuntha Ekadashi, we had procession on Ramnavami also, we had procession on Gaur Purnima. So much, joy one can experience in that, and serving the Lord in so many different ways. No need for movie, television, clubs, etc. Personal problem, interpersonal tensions, they're forgotten, and the entire community is brought together. So that is why now in both the temple, Kunjavihari and Vrindavan Chandra, we go for Harinam morning and evening. And in the morning now, many congregation devotees are also joining here. They go, and especially Saturday, Sunday festivals, hundreds of devotees go and feel the joy of participating in the Harinam sequence. So they are collected, the signs of decoration, they're all natural things, nothing artificial, no plastic, no thermocol, no rubber, no ready-made things. But they are so, useful, non-polluting, and very, easy to get them. And now so much modern things are changing. Contrast to modern commercialized culture, the Vedic mode of reception creates an atmosphere of auspiciousness and is full of sincerity on the part of both. Because personally thing you have to do, na? You cannot have a machine to create a rangoli. You have to do it yourself. On the other hand, or when you have to give a gift, like cook something and give to somebody, and you have to work hard. But nowadays, modern times, you just buy packed item and gift it. You go to Archie's, select a card and write to such and such from such and such. We don't read the message also. Similarly, the person who receives, he also receives the card, who has given it, and he also closes it. Because the message is not coming from our heart. The message is coming from the designer's heart. Nobody is interested in it. So everybody is engaged, and unemployment is not an issue. So this is the details about the Vedic culture, how people are satisfied in doing service as per their propensity and as per their nature, as per their skill set. And modern times, the rich become richer, the poor get poorer, and there's so much of exploitation which happens because of the artificial way of living, factory culture. So if the human civilization has sufficient grains, minerals, jewel, water, milk, then why should it hanker after terrible industrial enterprise? So a lot depends on the governance. If the government is good, then everything the citizens follow. If the government is misdirected, then everyone else becomes misdirected. Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. Right. So this is the actual model, the peaceful and progressive community with God and center. For some, it's only a mirage, but for genuinely thirsty people, it's an oasis. Now we cannot change the whole world, but actually we should be a part and experience these things at least in our local communities, in ISKCON centers and temples, where we respect everyone and we have a God-centered culture and not ego-centered culture. So once we start with that, then gradually we can make the whole world into ISKCON. Then everything will be. Prabhupada said, I made a house in which the whole world can live. So we invite more and more people to experience this thing in our communities. So such a community is not a product of chance. It flourishes under the guidance and organization of sober and enlightened leaders, and by systematic education training of its members. So further, the ladies of Hastinapur glorify the Lord, and they glorify the Lord as the master of creation, and they glorify the Lord as the master of Yadus, and they glorify the good fortune of the wives of the Lord, and how Krishna received them, how Krishna, gave them benediction. So these are prayers which are so beautiful. Sarva Shruti Mano Hara, that these prayers of the ladies of Hastinapur, they were more appreciated by the Lord than even the prayers offered in the Vedas, right? So they spoke in Shantarasa that how the Lord is transcendental even in creation, that is in text 22, Lord is perceivable now. They appreciate Krishna's form as most confidential. They remember his pastime with Yadus and Pandavas. They say Dwarka is more glorious than heavens because there Krishna is personally available to attend to the devotees. And they appreciate the great fortune of the wives of Krishna and his favor to gopis. So like that they offer these prayers, and after that Krishna departs for Dwarka, and in between he smiles. He gently smiles at the ladies who are offering prayers, and this way reciprocates with them. Maharaj Yudhishthira has sent 4 divisions of defense out of his love and concern. Although Krishna, nobody can harm him, but out of his love and concern, he sent the 4 divisions of horses, elephants, chariots, and infantry. So 4 divisions he sent with the Lord to take him to Dwarka. And Pandavas were overwhelmed with thoughts of separation. They went a long, long way with Krishna. That is the culture. When somebody comes, not that he comes to drawing room and really, okay, jao, ola aa gaya na, jao. I love summer, we go all the way. In our temple also we go to airport whenever the Maharajas come to receive them and to leave them. Sometimes 10-15 devotees go there at airport. Until the time Maharaj has gone inside, after whatever check-in and all, until the time devotees are waiting. Sometimes devotees go for railway station to receive and leave. So this is the culture to express our feelings of love. Pandavas also went a long way, then Krishna has to convince them. Now it's long way, now you have to go back to your home and take responsibility. And then Lord passed through various provinces to reach Dwarka, and he was welcomed in each of these provinces. And in each of these provinces during journey, evening they took a break and they performed their evening rites. There was no travel in the evening and night. So they stayed back at one place in a camp. They did their evening rites, and next morning again they traveled, like our Dindi Yatra. But it was a very royal camp. Dindi Yatra is a very simple. So like that, Lord departs for Dwarka, and in the next chapter he will reach Dwarka. So we will discuss that later. This is a summary. Text 1 to 6, they talk about Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom, how Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom was so opulent. The cows were making the earth wet with milk, and the mountains, the oceans, the rivers, the forests, they were giving all kind of herbs and the minerals and the jewels in the pearl. And now Krishna get ready to depart. So he decided for some more time to pacify Subhadra, then he, prepared for departing. And how Krishna attracts everyone's heart, how they're feeling separation. And then 20 to 30 talks about the prayers or the talks of the ladies of Hastinapur. And then finally, the last 6 texts, they talk about Lord smiled and greeted their greetings, and then how Yudhishthira Maharaj provided the army and how Krishna went through various provinces. So this is a very beautiful chapter. Please go in, detail when you read it further. But it's very deep lesson to learn from a cultural perspective. So Srila Prabhupada said that Srimad Bhagavatam is a cultural presentation, not just philosophy, but it's, culture also. So please read this chapter carefully. And I'm happy to be with all of you and share a few thoughts on this chapter. I will end here. If there are any 1 or 2 questions or comments, then we will take it, or we'll close for here today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for wonderful class, Prabhuji. Explained very nicely the culture and all that. Thank you so much.
Whatever I am speaking, I have learned from Satyavati Mataji and you only.
No,
Jana Mataji, Satyavati Mataji, now you are there in that generation. You are the mothers of our entire congregation. So we learned.
No,
from
No, Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji. We are learning from you only.
You all are so ideal in performing your duties, responsibilities, and services. It's just
No,
amazing.
Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Gulshan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Gulshan Prabhu ji, I think आपका हाथ ऊपर है, तो आप you can please unmute yourself and you can please ask the question to Revatipati Das Prabhu ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, I'm very happy to have your darshan after a long time, many years.
Prabhuji, I'm very happy to have your darshan, Prabhuji, and hear your class. Actually, your class is so important, Prabhuji. Like you told many aspects, like culture is so important. Same things like technology is advancing, but the same things we are hearing again and again. So it needs to be revived actually. Prabhuji, I had one question actually. That shloka you told, na matravat paradareshu, and further part I want to just note down.
You can see in any Prabhupada book. Prabhupada quoted so many times. Matravat paradareshu. Paradareshu means other ladies should be seen as mothers.
Yeah,
Matravat paradareshu. Lostavat paradraveshu. So lost means the truth. Lostvat paradraveshu. Draveshu means wealth. Par means other. Lostvat paradraveshu. Atmavat. One should see as oneself. Par bhuteshu. Others one should consider as oneself. Atmavat par bhuteshu. And he says, Yat karoti sa pandita. One who does these three things, he is pandita. He is actually learned, he is expert.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Anurag Prabhu and Bankim Prabhu are also there here.
Yeah, it looks like a Mayapur get together.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, because of you only surviving, Prabhuji. So many years.
You all are doing wonderfully. You are all sheltered by Guru Maharaj, doing some wonderful practice.
No, Prabhuji.
By your auspicious thoughts and blessings, I am also going ahead.
No, Prabhuji, because of your mercy only surviving in Bhakti.
Yes, with your blessings. With your blessings, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very happy to see you after a long, long time.
Yeah.
Let's see if there are any other questions or comments or reflections.
If anybody has any questions, please raise your questions to H.G. Revatipati Das Prabhu ji. Prabhuji, I think till now there is no hand up or no hands are raised, so I think there is no question.
Yeah, we will take just one question from Revatipati Mataji and then we will close for today. Because 9 is the official time, already we have exceeded 9. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to ask, is the PowerPoint presentation will be shared? Prabhu, yours is very nice.
They are all available, Mataji. You can go to radheshamdas.com. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then you go to Corona Time videos. And that Corona Time videos, you go to Bhagavat Rasmalayam. And then for each chapter of this first canto, not only Radhesham's lecture is there. That's a longer lecture. It takes almost 2 hours it takes to cover. So there's a lecture, then there's a PPT, and there is text notes are also there. So everything is very nicely put there in the website. Radheshamdas.com. So you can take it from there. Radheshamdas.com. Radheshamdas.com.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you all very much for a very kind participation. I'm very happy to be with you, and let's see 1 week later we might meet again. And my best wishes for your Srimad Bhagavatam studies. You have completed reading of 9 chapters, which is so wonderful. And now this week you will read chapter number 10. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.